Welcome to another episode of Two Hearts, One Love. We are your hosts, Larisha and Davon White. And today we're going to be talking to you about signs of a healthy relationship. And we're talking to people who are dating, who are married, who are engaged, and even single people who may be looking to be in a relationship.
Right.
So I'll go ahead and dive right in. The first sign of a healthy relationship is your communication. Good communication.
Yeah.
I'm gonna expound.
I believe communication is everything in any type of interaction with someone else, whether business, in any aspect, but especially in a relationship, communication is everything. Being able to communicate with your partner, being able to relay things to each other, being able to converse your feelings to each other, converse your upsetments, any plans that you have. You want to communicate, knowing if someone is wanting to have kids, what's their career goals, how they feel about life, what's their, anything. Like, you just want to communicate, make sure that you're knowing that particular person on a personal level, mentally, physically, things they've been through, things they may have experience as a kid, that formulates their thought patterns and the way they behave themselves now. That all comes through communication. Maybe you yourself or your partner has been through something in their lives that causes them to have trust issues. That's something you want to know so that you know where to, how to interact with that particular individual. So communication is a very, very big part of having a healthy and successful relationship. Anything you want to add or expound on?
I just want to add, when we're talking about healthy communication, I believe that the environment or the atmosphere has to be conducive to allow healthy communication. Part of having healthy communication is being able to say, hey, this is how I'm feeling about A, B, C, E, F, G, without the fear of like a hostile or like a volatile reaction. So I think that's something that is good to remember, is that communication is a two-way street. So you have to be able to hear what the person is saying, like actually listen to understand where they're coming from, and you have to be able to clearly communicate what it is that you're trying to get that person to understand.
Right. True.
That's it.
I think that's good. The next one is conflict resolution. You want to take that?
Yes. Conflict resolution is, I think, really important in a relationship. When you don't come to an amicable place, when there's no resolve for an issue, that issue is going to keep coming up time and time again. So let's say, for instance, I don't like the way you take out the trash.
Okay.
But I don't say to you, I don't like the way you take out the trash. And so maybe you don't put the trash can back in the exact same spot. You're going to put the trash can back in that same spot over and over again. It's going to get on my nerves because I'm not saying anything to you. And although that might seem like maybe a petty example, it really is applicable to everything. So you have to be able to say, hey, can you please push the trash can back against the wall or wherever it's at, and you not really get upset because I'm asking you that thing or communicating that thing to you.
Okay. That's good, and I think that goes back into communication, being able to have a good platform for communication where you can have good dialogue with one another back and forth, to be able to get to a point where you can find resolutions for any disagreement, for any problems you may have, any upsetment, anything that you would need to find a resolve for. Having that open door of communication, being able to, sit down and talk with each other, and come to a meeting, come to a resolution, come to an agreement to, whatever is going on in your relationship, in your lives, whether it be amongst yourselves or family members, friends, a particular job. That's really big, being able to communicate and have resolution. I know sometimes in our own relationship where Shay would come to me communicate like, I don't like the way you're interacting with this person, or what's going on, at work or something like that, or wherever, and she would communicate that to me, and being able to be mature enough to hear her out and say, okay, so what should I do, or what should we do? How would what's the best thing you think I should be doing, and coming to a resolve, coming to a good area where we can agree to or disagree, or whatever, to that extent. Being able to communicate and find a resolve is always great in a relationship.
Yeah, and I think that goes back to what I was saying about a clear communication of what you're trying to convey to a person.
A clear path of communication.
Yeah. So I'm going to go back to times where maybe I felt a certain way. Just for me personally, I wouldn't say anything, or I would dance around a question because I didn't really want to know the answer, or maybe I didn't want you to respond a certain way. I didn't want to evoke a certain emotion, so I would just not say anything. In that same situation, kept coming up, and then sometimes it would come to a blow, or now we're having an unhealthy fallout. When if there would have been a clear communication from the beginning, the problem could have been resolved much sooner, and then we're avoiding conflict down the line.
Right.
Yeah, that's all.
Mental and emotional stimulation.
I'll let you take that one.
Mental and emotional stimulation. Again, communication, being able to understand your partner's mental capacity, being able to find a way to reach that person, not in just a physical form, but being able to reach them mentally, being able to find out what that particular person don't like, finding a way to touch that person without touching that person is a great aspect of having a good relationship, a good way to have intimacy with that partner, even before you make it to a intimate space where you're maybe kissing, hugging, making it to the bedroom. Being able to stimulate your partner mentally, emotionally is a big part. Maybe not so much for men, but for women, for sure. You would want to make sure that you know how to stimulate your significant other, your girlfriend, your fiance, your wife. You would want to make sure that you're able to stimulate her mentally and emotionally. Definitely, that's a big thing for sure. Trust me.
I agree, clearly. For me, I like a good intellectual conversation. We talk about things that are kind of surface, on a regular basis, but I really like when we have conversations about things that are very highly intellectual. I've always been like that. And then emotions are a big thing, because if I feel like my emotional needs are not being met, it leads to a disconnect. And I'll tell you when I'm like, hey, we need to kind of tap back in, because maybe we've gotten lax in this area or that area. That's going to cause me to shut down in a lot of ways. So
True.
I agree.
What's the next one?
The next one is something that's
maybe RESPECT.
Yeah, it maybe seems so basic to say respect, but there's a lot of I think a lot of people that don't really understand, or maybe don't know how to show respect or get respect in a relationship. So respect can mean a lot of different things to a lot of people. And for me, respect in a relationship is respect my feelings, respect my emotions, respect my space. We're together basically 24/7. But I know there's times where it's like, okay, right now you need your quiet time. You don't want to be bothered. So I respect that you have your time. I'll have the kids, leave you alone, whatever it is, and vice versa. I think respect of each other's personal space is still an important thing, even in a marriage and a relationship. That doesn't mean that I'm giving you permission to just do what you want to do, but I'm giving you your space and your time to kind of recollect yourself and to refresh your mind and, you know, whatever it is that you need your space for. So those are my big respect things. What about you?
I think that's good. Also, from a guy standpoint, being able to continuously show your partner respect is something you should always keep at the front of your mind. You know, as men, we're busy doing stuff. We're working. We're taking care of the house. We're making sure, you know, the kids are managed. You know, we're doing all different aspects of things. So it's you can find yourself coming home. Still in that go get it type of mentality. So you now you're, you know, snap your finger at the right, do this, do that, or whatever, and you're not showing that level of partnership, that equal level. You're most are coming at her in a way that can possibly seem belittling to her or something like that. So you want to make sure that you keep at your forefront of your mind to continuously show your significant other, your counterpart, respect. RESPECT.
Okay, another
Compassion.
Yeah, compassion is huge. Compassion and respect actually can kind of go hand in hand, because if you don't respect the person, it's kind of hard for you to be compassionate to their needs or whatever that may be. I know just for us personally, one thing that you have to get used to is my compassion for other people. I am very into taking care of people or loving on people, and that's something that didn't necessarily come naturally to you. So you had to get used to that, and it used to upset you, and then now you have an attitude with me. But I'm like, I still have to do this. I committed to doing these certain things for these individuals. I play this role in this person's life.
Right.
And so you have to learn to have compassion for what I have compassion about.
We were two different people, but growing is a good thing. For me, my idea of showing someone compassion, especially if they're like wronging me or something like that, my idea of compassion is me not touching you. I left you alone, so I showed you compassion.
Oh my gosh.
So compassion for me is something that I definitely had to grow into and understand more. You know, when you look at how God deals with the church, you know, he shows so much compassion. You know, he's merciful, he's gracious. You know, he still loves you even though you wrong him so many times. You say you love God, you're saved, but you find yourself sinning, going back into this, going back into that, and God is still standing there with open arms saying, "Come back to me, I love you." So that's one thing that helped me when I see how God deals with the church, deals with me in my own personal life. He shows compassion. So when you look at it in that form, it's much easier to show compassion.
Okay, and so the last point that we'll touch on for this segment is trust. I'll give that one to you again.
Trust. Trust is a big one as well in a relationship. Being able to get to a point in a relationship where you can trust someone is very hard, because you find yourself being vulnerable. You find yourself putting your well-being, so to speak, in the hands of another person. And if you're coming from a situation where you were single at first, of course, and now you're in a relationship, and you're used to depending on yourself, so you can trust yourself. So you got to understand that this person that you love and that loves you, they can be trusted with your feelings, with your life. That's a big one. So you got to make sure that you're building on some of the things we touched on as far as communication, showing that you're good at resolving situations that may pull on trust, and so on and so forth. So having trust for each other is something that you definitely need in a healthy relationship, and you can do that by communication, resolving, and showing yourself to be trustworthy.
Very true. Very true. And just a quick little addition to that. I think although it can be hard to build up good trust, it's your job as a partner, and that's for men or women, to make it as easy as possible to allow or give your partner the space and the capacity to trust you. So keeping yourself out of situations that are questionable, guarding their heart and guarding your heart are all things that can make that, that an easier way in your relationship.
True.
Yeah. Okay, so that is all that we have for today. We thank you for joining us. If there's anything that you feel that we can add to this discussion, let us know in the comments. We'll see you next time.
Cool.